Hello everyone and welcome to another Used Tech Hustle video. Now before we get into today's video, I just want to say that this particular video, which is something I just had an idea of a couple of months ago. If you have been following the channel, you would have seen me requesting you to submit your used hustles, and yeah, it looks like a bunch of you did, enough for me to make a video anyway. I just want to start off by saying thank you to each and every one of you. This is just still an early idea. There may never be another episode if I don't get any more submissions, but hey, I've managed to get one episode out of it, and I still think it's a great idea. So thank you everyone that sent in stuff, and of course if you have picked up any decent used tech hustles and want to see it featured on another one of these videos, I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Okay, with that out of the way, it's time to get on with the video. And I suppose I should start by saying welcome to Used Tech Hustles Submit Your Hustle Episode 1. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at some of the awesome used tech deals you guys have managed to pick up and been lucky enough to send to me. And yeah, it looks like each and every one of you have had some serious luck on your side, and there's some seriously good prices out there. Anyway, let's start things off. Our first deal comes from fellow YouTuber MCG Tech. Or is that MuckG Tech? I should really find out. Anyway, this guy's been able to pick up a pretty damn hot Pixel book for $200. The specification is quite tasty. It's a 7th gen i5 processor, 8GB of RAM and 128GB SSD. So regardless, considering this thing's going to have a pretty light load anyway, it's going to fly, that's for sure, and a hell of a deal at $200. Or if you're this side of the pond, that's about 150 quid. Pretty tasty. Next up, we're going to take a look at a submission from YouTube user Privileged White Male. This lucky guy managed to find one of the most wallet-friendly deals this month in the form of a free HP motherboard, which also came with a case, power supply, a couple of fans and so on. And with a simple i5-2500, which is still a very good Sandy Bridge processor, which he managed to pick up for $20. He threw in a HD 5770, which he had spare, 4GB of RAM, and he's cooking on gas. I gotta say, for what's going to be about $30 all in for a PC that's usable today, that's pretty sweet. Now let's take a look at a submission from a viewer, Power MacGyver, and this is a couple of very nice mint condition AM3 boards. As you can see from the images, these are both in pristine condition with boxes, manuals, etc. So it's quite a piece to find really, especially for the price of €10 each, which is an absolute steal. Now I know the AM3 platform may be a little bit old in the tooth now, but it is still quite usable so long as you're not looking at the very latest games, as the processors simply don't always support the instruction sets. However, at €10 a go, it would be rude to say no really. Our next submission is from viewer Yoda Wizz, who after spending a few months teaching himself about computers managed to get really lucky and score a free computer his friend was throwing out. The PC, although being a bit long in the tooth, still had some incredibly usable parts. It came with a GTX 560 Ti with 1GB of VRAM, an Athlon 2 X4 CPU on a GB motherboard, a 500 watt 80 plus bronze PSU and 16GB of RAM all thrown in ready to go, which is brilliant anyway. However, if you're still learning about computers and want something to just play with and teach yourself a bit more, this is absolutely perfect. What a generous friend you've got. Now he goes on to tell me that he is now moving onto the Ryzen 5 platform, which is fantastic. Maybe one day I'll be able to do the same, but yeah, good luck and thanks for letting me know about this, mate. What an absolute brilliant pickup. Next, let's take a look at an awesome used parts PC coming all the way from Wellington in New Zealand. Viewer Wilbert Kaujaya, and I really hope I haven't just murdered your surname, pieced together what I think is still a killer system based on the killer i7-3770K. Now this was picked up in a deal with an Asus Z77 Sabertooth motherboard and 8GB of Corsair Dominator RAM, and that cost him 300 New Zealand dollars, which apparently equates to around about 202 US. So yeah, although that might be a bit more expensive compared to what you can get locally, bear in mind their location, that's a pretty good deal. To add to this, Wilbert was able to grab an RX 480 for around about 108 US dollars, and mixed in with a Corsair 600T as well as a beefy PSU, we're looking at around about $409 all in. Now, although the specifications probably sound good, and I think they are, take a look at these awesome pictures and see how sexy this beast is. Here we can see a really decent view of the side of the case. Looks very roomy and I like the ambient lighting inside, and as you can see from this picture, it just looks gorgeous with the panel off. And I don't know if he's just showing off, but at this point, just look at that. That's just a quality image, proper PC porn if ever I've seen it. He's been able to overclock this beast to 4.4 GHz, which in the message to me he didn't seem overly keen on, or perhaps maybe he was hoping to get a bit more. All I can say is, if you're happy with how it runs, then the rest is just numbers. To me, that's a pretty awesome looking system, and I'd be very happy to have it myself. 4.4 GHz is nothing to be sniffed at. Top quality build, mate. Really, really love this one. Viewer Spencer Baum is up next with his GPU. He was able to pick up the Zotac GTX 1080 AMP edition for a measly $250, which is just insane to think of that much power for that much money. Generally, this is considered about $100 less than what you can find them over there for, I've been told, and yeah, I'd be happy to believe that. And well, to be fair, this is one of the few things that I'm very jealous of. Maybe one day I'll upgrade from my 1070, who knows. Our next submission comes from PC Trader. Now this one's a bit of a two-parter, but I'm sure you'll agree by the end the outlay for everything, the actual total cost paid has been brilliant for the system he's ended up with. So to start with, he tells me he was able to pick up for £190 an i5 4690, 12GB of RAM, two 1TB hard drives, the Fractal design case, a Hyper 212 cooler, a GTX 964GB, a random H81 board, a 500W semi-modular PSU, together with a 22-inch monitor and even a mouse and keyboard. Phew, that's a lot to get through, and for that price, that is an absolute steal. I actually recently picked up an i4, I think it was a 47 something K system, and paid a little bit less than that if I remember rightly, and the spec was nowhere near as good as this, so that is an absolute steal. Now he goes on to see what he's done with this system, which with a bit of hustling, which I always like to see, the total cost for the system has actually been reduced. By trading in and swapping out some parts, selling the monitor, etc., he was able to end up with an RX 570 behind this beast, as well as an upgrade for the PSU to a Colink 500W. And as you can see from the images, the end result looks pretty stunning, so kudos to you, mate. Well done. For 180 quid, that's a cracking build. I've got a bit of a retro haul coming from Matthew Day. This particular one was a purchase from Facebook Marketplace at a total of £35, and for that he was able to get a Power Mac G5, which sadly turned out to be dead, an Asus PH61MX, this is with the USB 3, and unfortunately it did need a little bit of pin work, but from what I can gather that must have worked, otherwise he would have mentioned. We've got a couple of older graphics cards from the AGP era in the form of a GeForce TI 4200 and a Radeon 9800 Pro. On top of this he also got some IDE hard drives, some DVD drives and even some fans. So certainly a bit retro, but something you can definitely have a lot of fun with for very little outlay. And I do hope you're able to get that motherboard working. As for the G5, that's a shame it wasn't able to get working. However, I do love that chassis, and I'd imagine with a bit of effort you can get a normal PC in there. I think I've seen some videos around. That would be pretty cool. Coming up next, we've got the start of what appears to be a promising X79 system from 385 Deermir. They've been able to score a sweet X79 motherboard from an Alienware R4, as well as an i7 3930K. All in all, this duo cost $115 altogether, and that was $50 for the motherboard and $65 for the processor. Here's hoping it's a really fat overclocker and you've got yourself a killer X79 system on the go. Let me know how you get on with that. Something, if I can pick one up for cheap, I'd love to try one myself. Our next Hustle sadly has no pictures, however, this submission from George FC is still well worth a mention. As you can see from his message on screen, George was able to purchase and eventually resell used components in order to end up with his eventual PC, which is a pretty damn swish i7 770 system with a 1080 at its side and 16 gigs of RAM. Now paired with the 1440p monitor he's also picked up, he's looking at a total outlay of £460, which for that kind of spec and that kind of monitor is not to be sniffed at. Well done, mate. Our next submission comes from YouTuber Welsh Tony. If you want to check out his channel, it's Welsh Tony 1's unboxing, reviews and guides. Now, although this isn't a used Hustle, I will say it is a very good price, so it's been included here. He was able to pick up an awesome Vega 56 in a recent promotion from Overclockers, which is £210. As you can check out with the system build pictures, it looks very well in that white case indeed, and the subtle red lighting is pretty damn cool. Some more PC porn for you guys. Our final hustle of the day comes from user Used Gun Dude, and this is a hell of a system they've managed to put together all from eBay parts. Now as you can see with the spec on screen, they've got a 3rd gen i5 but not any old one, and it's an employee beta sample. They've got a quality Asus motherboard, decent amount of RAM, and well, you can see the rest of the spec on there. Now when you consider the all-in price they paid for this is just over $350, that's insane. And for a build that looks this cool, I'd be chuffed a bit. Alright guys, that's it. That's enough for episode 1. I hope you've really enjoyed it, and if you're looking at this and thinking, hey, I've picked up some good stuff I might want to include, then head over to usetechhustle.com/submit-hustle and fill in the form provided. Now, I may not ever get the chance to do another one of these again if I don't get any other submissions, so please don't be disappointed. However, again, anyone that sent in their submissions to make this video possible, thank you very, very much. If you have enjoyed it, then please consider subscribing or even just dropping a like on this video. If you want to see more from me, then do check out the rest of my videos in my feed. I've got quite a few things on there, ranging from Usetech pickups to GPU reviews and an awful lot more. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, see you in the next one, and keep hustling.